Hey, Bergen County, is our market finally turning? Is it shifting? That is the question that everybody wants to know. I'm Stacy Esser with the Stacy Esser Group, and by the way, my team helps people buying and selling in Bergen County all the time. We're happy to help you. You can reach us by booking an appointment. All the information is down below, plus my phone number if you want to reach me, 201-292-0011. Let's get started and dive into what's happening in Bergen County real estate market. So we're going to compare this year over last year, and what we're seeing is essentially a mark that's moving but not completely shifting. It's not weak, but it's becoming what we're calling more intentional. So prices are rising. Home values across Bergen are still rising, but we are seeing slightly longer days on the market. So that means that buyers are actually doing more due diligence before they're pulling the trigger. We do have right properties getting overpriced, but getting bids above ask with multiple bids. That is happening. And we still have limited availability of inventory, which is driving the seller leverage in the market. So first, let's take a look at where we were last year. So we could see that homes are taking a little bit longer to sell in Bergen County, 34 days versus 30 days last year. Basically, that's giving buyers a little bit more room, time to be specific. It's also telling us that although there is more demand than there is inventory, the buyers are still looking for some control in the market, right? We're gonna see if that changes as we move into spring. So more time is not equaling less demand. And that's, I think, why a lot of people start to think if the market is shifting, right? They're like, well, if things are sitting on the market longer, that means there's less demand. But 34 days is really historically a very low number. And so that means it's far from a sluggish market. So buyer behavior is definitely shifting. They are making more informed decisions. They're not panic buying and overpricing. Homes that are overpriced are getting corrected a lot faster, and then the market is basically efficiently identifies those unrealistic expectations by having it sit on the market and then forces the seller to adjust. That's also why we're seeing a lot more price reductions than we did before. Prices are up all across Bergen County. So pricing matters. And you have to think about what else matters. So it's not just price. It's going to be like what I call the triple factor, which is here. Your condition, your location, your pricing strategy matter more than ever to create that momentum. The condition is incredibly important. You're not just throwing a house on the market and then watching the buyers bid it up the way they did it before, because the buyers are going to scrutinize everything much more than they did a couple of years ago, because the buyers are fatigued by the affordability crisis that they are suffering through. So homes are still getting over ask price, which basically means that you need to be priced where a buyer thinks the value is, and that's when you're going to see these numbers, right? So you could see in 2024, this is the original list to sale price. That means that the house went on the market and it sold over its ask rate, 103%, very close to its final. This is after any deductions were made. And you could see we're still really, really high in 2025. So if a house was on the market for $650,000, that means it sold above $650,000. That's what these numbers are telling you. I'd like to use this data to help sellers and help buyers understand where they have to buy and sellers where they have to price. So it's important to be strategic whenever you're thinking about listing your house. And of course, as a buyer, you want to be strategic, because if that right house does go on the market, the likelihood is that it's going to follow the pattern going on in that town. That's why it's important also to be very town specific when you do the deep dive in for the data. All right, buyers are paying over asking, yes. However, they're only doing that for the right home. And that is why I keep talking about pricing strategy has replaced sort of what we call the bidding war. Success requires the market intelligence, no wishful thinking. So you have to be strategic in how you're presenting your house, and that's why working with the right agent and talking about what do you need to do in order to get the bang for your buck, the right price for your house. What do you need to do in order to win today, knowing that buyers are way more cautious than they were before. So activity is steady, not slowing down. And let's talk about the unit counts here. So transaction volume is always super interesting to look at. Homes sold are always things that happened in the past. And think about the time it takes for a house to go get on the market. So if a house is taking 35 to 40 days to sell, that means that, then you're looking at, that means it takes 35 to 40 days to go under contract, and then it still has to close. So you're definitely 2.5, maybe 3 months looking backwards when you're talking about a house that's sold. So in 2024, we had 4,526 units sold, and in 2025, there are 4,536 units sold year to date. So that is like virtually identical. The predictions for 2026 are that we're going to have a little bit more inventory, which means we should see more homes sold. We're thinking maybe 5 to 10%, and that has a lot to do with where the mortgage rates are, because that's going to free up some product and give buyers more buying power. We're going to talk about that. Under contract pending homes, you could see we do already see that increase. So this is already telling us that 2025 pending homes right now is 4,730. That means those homes haven't closed yet. So that's already showing us that there's this upward trend in units being sold, which should mean that we're going to continue to see that upward trend. New listings, however, are right now we're still flat with new listings, so we can't sell it unless it's on the market. So obviously we're hoping that we're going to see more new listings come to market. So supply and demand are remaining balanced and very active. It's a healthy market, but it's still a constrained market. All right. So we obviously know Bergen County is a prime location to go to. We still are getting a lot of people coming out of New York City, and we just have a lot of people that are already living here that are renting and want to buy but are getting priced out. So we still are very high in demand. And I think that if you all want to sell or buy, it's important you get your strategy session with one of my team members so we can go deep dive into your specific market and explain to you how to win as a seller or how to win as a buyer. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Stacy Esser with the Stacy Esser Group. Bye-bye.